Welcome to the Building Performance Podcast from the Proof is Possible Tour. I'm Corbett Lunsford. We are right now in New Jersey, and today we're going to be talking about trends in high-performance building and retrofits with one of our city sponsors, Pete Sanders, who is the founder of Sanders Home Services. They are doing amazing work, and I've been talking to Pete all week long, and I had to get him on tape talking to you guys. So first of all, Pete, thank you very much for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So first of all, what I think is really interesting about you is that you come from a huge family.
I do. I have 15 brothers and sisters. I'm one of 16, right in the middle with a twin sister. I have 9 sisters and 6 brothers.
And can I ask, you told me a story early in the week about coal gas when you were growing up.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem sharing that. That was actually prior to me even being born. I would have had, where I had a set of twin brothers and sisters. My parents lost them to coal gas poisoning in the late 40s. I believe late 40s, early 50s. May have been early 50s, 1950s. They lived in a very rural area here in South Jersey, and we had coal heat. And unbeknownst to them, that this was emitting a poisonous gas, and my brother and sister were 10 months old.
That's a terrible story. So first of all, I'm sorry. Secondly, is that now that you are leading the charge, in my opinion, in your area in New Jersey for home performance and for air quality and control of things like that, does that story come up in your mind a lot more now that you know how that kind of thing works with modern houses?
Well, it comes up in my mind, yeah. I realize the importance of having a safe environment, and we're not dealing with coal anymore, but the other forms of heat that we utilize, particularly gas. It's critically important that we make sure that we have a safe environment, a safe home where we're living in.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the things that hopefully people are catching on to, is that it's not just about energy efficiency. That's nice, but really it's about safety and control over the environment. Now, your company has control over a lot of the things in the house. So you started what is called a home services company, and I haven't seen a whole lot of them in the home performance and building science space. Can you describe what your company is capable of doing?
Yes, I'm a licensed master plumber. We're also licensed electrical contractors as well as HVAC contractors. In the state of New Jersey, you have to have a master license to conduct businesses in those areas. And I have technicians that are experts in those areas, as well as being versed in the home performance business. So when we go out and we engage a customer, and if we're there on a service call, we try and softly introduce what we're capable of doing, and let them know we have some services to offer that are fairly unique. Unfortunately unique, I should say. They shouldn't be. I think all contractors should be engaged in this business, and I'd love to see that happen, and I'm sure it will.
Can you talk about that? Because a lot of people, I think, believe that the more unique their product is, the more valuable they are. Like, if they're the only one who knows how to do a blower door test in the entire city, that's awesome. So why would it be useful, in your opinion, and I happen to agree with you, that a lot of people, or almost everyone, is doing this kind of work?
Well, I think from a competitive standpoint on my end, if I'm out there all alone and the consumer has several opinions, and the opinions aren't versed or well versed in the home performance industry, the consumer can become skeptical about the contractor who mentions this. It's almost unbelievable, if you will. So the more contractors that are engaged in this, and the more contractors that have knowledge of what's necessary to have a safe, energy efficient home, the better it makes it. We kind of raise the tide and together, and that's what I hope will happen. And part of the reason I did what I did with our facility here in Turnersville is to educate not just consumers, but contractors and peers as well. We've had classes here where we've had competitors in our facility, and I just couldn't imagine buying a car without test driving it or physically looking at it. And that's seeing is believing, and we tried to create an environment where our customers can kind of kick the tires, if you will.
And that facility, by the way, is not open to the public yet, but we are releasing a video of a tour of that facility, which you must take a look at. It's on our YouTube channel, which is called Home Performance. So this week, you were telling me a story about a client that you've had for years and years and years, and you tried to sell her on having home performance work done as part of a replacement of a furnace or an air conditioner. I can't remember which, but it was like she had a 3-ton, she wanted another 3-ton that was exactly like that one, and you had said, you know what, we should really do like an evaluation of the duct system or a manual J, and apparently she wasn't having it. Is that right?
Yeah, again, it's very unfortunate, and that's why I want to see the bar raised for the industry, and the more contractors, the more consumers, the more homeowners become aware of this. Contractors tend to do the minimus and sometimes don't even meet those levels, but we wouldn't consider replacing an HVAC system without doing what's called a manual J and sizing the system. So when we size a system, we want to do it with the pre and post conditions. If weatherization won't happen, we're going to size it with what's currently there. If we're going to do any home performance work, weatherization work, air sealing and insulating, we want to anticipate the results that we're going to have and size the system appropriately for the changes we're going to make. And it is rare that it's not reduced in most cases by at least a third. So if we need a 100,000 BTU furnace, we can now use a 70,000 to achieve the same results. So we've already decreased the usage 30%, in addition to the efficiency of the new equipment. So we've got substantial savings, but more than that, we've got comfort that didn't previously exist, especially in multi-level homes, where the second floor typically is much warmer than the lower levels.
Mm-hmm. And how do you explain that to your business mind? I'm interested in your perspective on this, but you're selling them intentionally a smaller unit, which you're going to make a little less money on. How does that justify itself for you in the long run?
Well, there's a lot of personal satisfaction in knowing that, number one, we did it right. And number two, I love getting those phone calls back 6 months, a year later from a customer with the realization that their second floor master bedroom was always 10, 12, 15 degrees warmer than the first floor where the thermostat's located. And they thought that was normal because all of their friends and neighbors had similar circumstances. So, the least expensive retrofit we can do, it really is the air sealing. And the biggest bang for your buck is going to be the air sealing. Again, I think it's imperative to start there. So at the end of the day, it's more comfortable.
You get calls from satisfied customers? Because I think most HVAC companies try to avoid getting calls after they've been to a house, right? If no calls means like, hey, we fixed the problem, we're not, everything is fine. But you actually do get calls where people are like, hey, just want to let you know it worked.
Absolutely. Yeah, we absolutely, and we love it. Hearing those kinds of calls from a customer, and a lot of folks go directly to our website and post how they feel about the services we performed. And one of the things that I did with our website was those postings go directly to our site. So they're unedited, they're unaltered. We can't touch them. If we get a bad review, it remains there. So it's imperative that we make every effort to do our job to the best of our ability, and we certainly want to exceed our customers' expectations, because once it's posted, I can't change it. So we're very proud of our customer satisfaction, and the marketing expense we incur, we can keep it to a minimum because the majority of our work and our business has now and always has been through referrals. So the better job we do, the least expensive it is from a marketing standpoint to not just maintain and sustain our business, but to grow it.
How did it feel after running a successful home services business for decades and then finding out that maybe you had done a bunch of things wrong when you learned about how building science works and kind of going back in your head over the jobs? I hear this again and again from builders who have been doing it one way and then suddenly are like, oh my gosh, I think I realize now that I may have made some mistakes.
Well, we take a lot of pride in what we do, and we try and stay at the forefront of knowledge and technology, and we always thought we were doing the very best we could. until I was introduced in 1996 with home performance and building science, if you will. And once I saw what was happening in the household that I didn't realize existed, I didn't know. And I say that not just about myself, but my peers currently in the industry who lack that knowledge, is we didn't know what we didn't know. And now with that knowledge, we've got to harness that and utilize it to do the very best job that we can. But yeah, I simply say that we didn't know what we didn't know, and then once we learned it, and that came as a result of, I'm thinking back in the early '60s, mid '60s, the grassroots organizations that were looking to low-income homeowners to help them seal up and save, if you will, caulking windows and doors. They're really the pioneers in my eyes of this industry, that what is now the building science concepts today.
Now, here's the rubber meets the road question. You have a business doing electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Does the home performance side of things actually increase your bottom line? Does it make a business difference for you? Or are you more profitable because of knowing about the building science? Or is ignorance bliss?
Oh, no. Absolutely, it makes a difference. And I think we're just scratching the surface. I foresee households having to have a healthy home audit when they're sold in the near future. I'm hoping it's the near future and not the distant future. But I find it ironic that if I were to sell my home, I need to get a termite certification. However, if I'm leaking carbon monoxide, that's acceptable and that's okay. And nobody's checking, testing, measuring these things. It's just, it's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we get people mad enough. Well, Pete, thank you so much for all of your help this week, for spending your time with us on the podcast.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for sharing your knowledge. I've learned quite a bit from your teachings in this past week as well, so it's reciprocal.
Awesome. My pleasure. Pete Sanders is the founder of Sanders Home Services in New Jersey. You have been listening to the Building Performance Podcast. I'm Corbett Lunsford. Tune in next time.